So thank you very much. I would also like to specifically thank Franz Snijders, who stepped in as interim Secretary General, who is not with us here today, as I understand. I truly appreciate Franz's devotion and hard work these past months. At the beginning of May, Ramon Puras stepped into this role as our new Secretary General. And welcome, Ramon, wherever you are here. Please stand up. We are very happy to have you here with us today and look forward to what I know will be a great partnership within Aurora. Good luck, Ramon. We continue to be dedicated on working with our associated partner universities and our global partner, University of Minnesota. Our associated partner, Karasin University, is still facing extremely difficult times due to the Russian invasion, and we remain devoted to our continued collaboration and support. The significance of this ambitious transnational collaboration and high trust platform that Aurora is cannot be overstated, especially in the current social climate where we have seen a rapid increase in polarization and distrust across nations. We are therefore grateful to work with our institutions from such diverse geographical locations and look forward to expanding our partnership even further. And we will discuss our strategy now during the President's meeting later on this morning. The value of our ambitions has rarely been as clear. There is a dire need for students whose education has emphasized cooperation, internationalization, and social impact. In this context, I would like to mention the fact that this funding period redoubles our emphasis on student engagement, not only through creating further and more diverse educational opportunities across all our institutions, but also through increased emphasis and support for our Aurora Student Council members and ambassadors, many of whom are here with us today. With all these vital projects we work on within Aurora, continued institutional support from all partners is vital. I appreciate all of you who are gathered here today and look forward to the next few days of intensive on-site work. And thanks once again to our hosts, Università di Napoli Federico II, and many thanks to all of you who have made it here today, and I wish you a wonderful and a very productive biannual. Thank you very much.
I'm very happy now to invite to take the floor Sabine Sen-Rose. We've been working in Aurora for so long. Sabine is a friend more than a colleague now. Thanks, Sabine.
Thank you very much, Alessandro, for your kind words and this warm welcome. And thank you, Jan-Atli, for setting the scene for our wonderful event and our collaboration. I was asked to do a short presentation on the program and what we were going to look forward to in the next days. More mic, more up, or me sitting. Is that what I feel from the crowd? Yes? Let me do this way, right? Okay, thank you. Such a wonderful, supportive community here. So, I wanted to give these few words about the program, paying tribute to our wonderful hosts, the fantastic University of Federico II, the wonderful city of Napoli, and also I wanted to pay tribute to you, the fantastic community of Aurora staff and students. So, yes, indeed, we first need to celebrate the fact that we have finished the first phase of our program and successfully submitted our report to Brussels. It has been huge work from all of you, work package and task team leaders, and I am very thankful to you and also the institutional coordinators and the fantastic colleagues at the central office. So it was really collective work. And beyond the satisfaction of actually submitting this report, there's a greater source of satisfaction, which is everything we put in the report, everything that we have accomplished together. So let me give you a few numbers to summarize this. Hopefully it will work. Yes. Well, this is the number of mobile colleagues, staff, and also students that we've had. 1,117 staff, and more than 3,600 students have been mobile if you consider the different sources of funding in Aurora, connecting with each other, learning from each other, and this is just a fantastic achievement. And as you know, we worked in COVID times for the beginning, and we have witnessed an increase of this mobility of staff of 37%, and for the students is 412% increase. So we've really managed to change the dynamics and engage beyond the difficulties that we face. So thank you to all the fantastic mobility colleagues that I see here. Yes, some people were about to clap, so yes, let's do this. Then, of course, we're going to talk joint education and also with the very next panel. If we look at the courses, we've created and launched 20 joint courses, and we have Aurorized, a word that everybody loves, Aurorized 50 courses, and we need to do much more. If we look at our contents framework, this deep dive into the transformation of our education, we have organized a total of 57 trainings for the Aurora Competence Framework, addressing both students and staff, educating them about the tools we have developed. In addition, 270 people participated to our training session on capacity development support, and I'm very glad that we have our capacity development support team here, and also our dear colleagues from Central and Eastern Europe, and especially Kaizen. So a big clap to them as well. Social entrepreneurship and innovation is certainly one also of the pillars of the Aurora program. And we have 170 students that have been through this social entrepreneurship and innovation curriculum, and have 600 participants of all of our research and innovation winter and summer schools that have taken place. Now, if we also look at another very interesting pillar, and we have several colleagues from service learning. Service learning attracted 636 students, and 400 academics participated in the Aurora Co-Creation Initiative. I could go on with many numbers. Also, if I think of our SDG dashboard or many other parts of our program, but we don't have the time for this. We have a very busy program. And this is just a snapshot, but it's certainly a very impressive one. And what is underlying, what is underneath, is actually also a risk. And actually, it's the previous slide that I wanted. Yes. You will have recognized, and I'm going to butcher the name, Le Caravage. I'm going to do that with my French pronunciation. And this is narcissus. And I think there's a risk for us, after so many successes, to just contemplate our successes, just like Narcissus. And when I looked at this masterpiece from this immense Neapolitan artist, it reminded me of the fact that despite of how good we look, and we do look good, but how good we look, we should not lose sight of what is left to accomplish, what is at the very core of our mission. The task of the European University Initiative is immense, and we are, in fact, just at the beginning. In this current phase, we have the very difficult task to scale up all of those wonderful activities, but also give strength and structure to it so that we can have even more impact. So I decided to look at another Neapolitan artist. And this is an art piece of Vincenzo Gemito, often called the sculptor of the Neapolitan soul. And I think it could give us some inspiration. This artist of the 19th century has created remarkable sculptures, drawings, and paintings of big celebrities at the time, Verdi, for example. But mostly, he was interested in the ordinary people of Naples. His mastery in realism has been celebrated internationally, as he was actually representing humble fishermen, women at the market, card players. This bronze represents a street kid, a water carrier, acquaiolo, and a person who brings water to the community of Naples. And despite our success, I sincerely wish that we can be exactly like this acquaiolo. More modest than Narcissus, for sure, and also bringing something real, concrete, and of value to the community, to our community of faculty and staff and students, to our local, national, international partners, also those who are suffering and in difficulty, like in Karazin. In this biannual, I hope we can do just that, work on our joint strategy, and this has been announced by our president, and enhance cooperation, discuss joint education and mobility to go even further. And we are going to see that also with wonderful colleagues in the next plenary and learn from them. As we are starting this biannual, those 3 days of very intense work and connection, I hope you can take a bit of this acquaiolo, this water carrier, with you. And to conclude, I am going to use a quote from a Neapolitan author, dear to my heart and to millions of people, I think. She made Napoli, Elena Ferrante, she made Napoli, its community, and the role of education, actually, in people's life, particularly vibrant and intense for millions of readers. And those words are very simple, yet impactful. If you don't try, nothing ever changes. We need to transcend traditional cooperation and build focus to our entire community. We need to reach out to all student and staff categories, particularly those that have been forgotten by internationalization before. And please start this biannual by thinking of what your group can bring to the community, whether already involved or not yet involved in Aurora and its program, as well as to the wider community and in our universities and also in our region. So let's continue to try and enable change together. Thank you very much.
Again, thank you, Jan, thank you, Sabine, and thank you all of you for being here. For Federico II, it's an important moment of sharing, working with you, learning as well in Napoli. I think, and I hope you will enjoy this city. Sabine introduced us somehow to the culture of this city, the history that you can see, and indeed, the arts. But Napoli is also a lot of societal challenges. It's a complex reality we live in, and we are proud of this complexity. Our effort as an alliance in Aurora has much to do with managing complexities. Sometimes we feel tired because all the things that we have to carry on, the achievement that we want to reach, are in such a complex environment we have to manage and deal with. But we have to go through complexity. It's our mission, in a way it's also the meaning of what we do. When we first started our commitment in Aurora, it was in 2019 as a university, Federico II, we knew that Aurora was for us an opportunity for a change, institutional change, cultural change, educational change. And I do think, and we still think, that this is the main effort for us today. All of us know how it's difficult for our communities to drive change. There is also always a lot of resistances in changes, but still we are committed to being actors of change. Universities are intricate communities, multi-layered institutions. We have to prove to our colleagues and to ourselves that the changes that we want to achieve are worth of being achieved. We should not take for granted the value of Aurora and of our alliance. We live in difficult times. It's something that it's important to bear in mind. Wars in our communities, and when I say our community, again, we have to think and thank the colleagues from Karadzic, despite the war, fighting to stay within our community. Wars is within Europe. It has already been within Europe. Some of our colleagues do remember the difficulties of the 90s, and again, wars in Europe. But we also see a lot of wars around us. One and a great challenge that we have to face. The dramatic increase in inequality and poverty all around us, and the climate crisis. We will be signing an important agreement between our universities to tackle environmental sustainability for our communities. We do not live in ordinary times. And we have to be prepared for the extraordinary effort that for all of us will take to face the challenges of the present and the immediate future. Our part is a part of challenge, that's all. But again, it's also a part of friendship, mutual support, and I'm sure about it, of success. Thank you. We will be doing great things together in the next future. And by the way, stereotypes, we are in a perfect timing, despite of being in Napoli. I don't know if it's something to be worried about. So I will thank you again, Jon and Sabine, and ask to take the floor to the colleagues of the first panel who will be presenting and discussing about joint education and the future. These days, the Ministerial Conference of Higher Education Research Area is going on. We need to get ready for that. Thank you. So just a few words to introduce this panel. Let me thank, first of all, Florian Freitag. He's a colleague. He will be chairing this panel. Florian, thank you again for this availability to us. Then we have Manuela Costone of CIMEA. We will learn about CIMEA soon. CIMEA is an associate partner of Aurora. Thank you, Manuela, to you and to CIMEA for being here. Then Bernard, we know him, Bernard. He's so committed in Aurora. Thank you, Bernard, for being with us. And then Antonella Forlino, it's a pleasure to have you, Antonella, in Napoli. Antonella is a colleague of the University of Pavia, but Florian will present her better than I'm doing, with a lot of experience in alliances, university alliances. Giovanni Betta. Giovanni is a member of the Italian National Council. We will learn a bit about that. Thank you, Giovanni, to be here as a friend and a colleague. So, Florian, to you the floor. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I was going to say good morning and welcome everyone, but this is Napoli, so let me say buongiorno a tutto quanto. Benvenuto a Napoli. E ciao. That's the spirit. As Alessandro said, there are a lot of tasks ahead of us, and one of them is creating more and even better joint educational offerings for our students. Why are we doing this? Well, tackling today's major global challenges requires an unprecedented scientific, cultural, and technological commitment. And European universities and European university alliances can and they want to play a decisive role in helping to identify both challenges but also solutions. To do so, we need for innovation in both teaching and research in a rapidly changing context in which internationalization as an inclusive process is increasingly relevant. So in this panel, our host has gathered experts who will talk about their experiences in the field of defining innovative and international educational pathways, focusing on the role of European alliances and European joint degrees and programs. I will introduce them again in more detail in just a second. The way it works is we'll have 2 rounds of contributions. Two contributions from each panelist, and I will introduce each panelist before their first contribution. Before we do that, let me just say that Aurora is part of a very, very broad effort to delineate a joint European education system. Internationalization of curricula and didactic innovation are key elements of this. But there are also aspects that pose enormous, it says problems here in my manuscript, but they're not problems, they're challenges. Challenges that we're ready to meet. From the recognition of qualifications and training courses to the accreditation and approval of courses by national authorities, from designing new and innovative courses to harmonize different cultures. Everyone who has been involved in Aurora is familiar with one or even several of these challenges. So let's talk about how we can meet those challenges. Our first panelist that I would like to introduce is Antonella Faulino, who joins us from the University of Pavia, where she is a professor of biochemistry, a pro-rector for internationalization, and the president of GLOBEC. GLOBEC is the Center for Global Strategic Engagement at the University of Pavia, and there it promotes and supports the realization of the university's internationalization strategy, strengthening its international profile and spreading a global dimension in its activities and services. GLOBEC ensures the development of relations and agreements with foreign universities, the management of strategic partnerships and networks, the development of international inter-university cooperation projects, and the creation of innovative international mobility programs. Antonella is also the rector's delegate to EC2U, the European campus of City University. And EC2U, in turn, stay with me, is a member of ED Affice. Now, ED Affice is a consortium of 6 university alliances. So you have the universities, the alliances, and then you have the consortium of alliances. And some of the alliances that are in there are, of course, EC2U, Una Europa, 4EU+, Charm EU, love that name, EU Connexus, and Unite. Now, ED Affice represents 51 higher education institutions from 22 different countries. In consultation with experts, the consortium will develop possible improvements to the criteria associated with the European degree label as outlined by the European Commission, and co-develop recommendations on a possible assessment procedure, as well as design and delivery of a future European degree label. Now, Antonella coordinates the activities of the University of Pavia within the ED Affice project, and that would also be my first question to you, or the topic of your first contribution. So in 2022, the European Commission launched a call for European university alliances to examine and facilitate the delivery of a joint European degree label. And the ED Affice project answered the call, and they secured support from the European Commission to pilot the European degree. What can you tell us about your work?
Okay, I hope. Oh, I can turn the mic. I saw. Okay. So, good morning, everybody, and thanks, Alessandro, for inviting me to this biannual meeting. From what has been said about me, it looks like I'm quite an expert on alliance and joint degree programs. Well, I'm really not. I'm a biochemist professor, and it's just happened that after my nomination as a prorector for the University of Pavia, I get really excited about the European Alliance project. And in 2020, we applied and we succeeded in activating the EC2U Alliance. And all start from that. So everything I built up on my expertise started in 2019. But it was quite a busy period. This last year were really intense. And my excitement is still on alliances, as well as on working on a joint program. So let me step back a minute. As a representative for the University of Pavia of the EC2U Alliance, one of the pillars that we had in our alliance was to generate originally in the pilot phase, now we are also in the consolidation phase as you guys are, was to activate 3 joint masters on different SDGs, good health and well-being, quality of education, and sustainable safety and development. So it seems really exciting and challenging, and everything looked possible at that time. Then we face reality, and we realized that without a group we call a task force that was not foreseen early on, nothing was going to happen. And it just happened that since it was really exciting, then I was the one that was selected to, lucky me, to coordinate this task force. And with a lot of difficulties, we indeed activated the 3 masters. And because of my expertise on this in the Alliance, I was the lucky one selected from EC2U to participate as full partner in the ED Affice project. It makes sense, and I was excited as well. I did not realize it was a 1-year project with really challenging objectives. So my last year, the project just ended, was basically spent, I would say, 80% of my time on working for this new project that, as it was mentioned, involved 6 different alliances, so we are at the step up of our pyramids. And it was a wonderful experience. We had a common goal when we sit down, these 6 partners. We clearly see the power of having a European degree label. It was a possibility, we foresee the possibility to establish finally clear and shared criteria. And we based our work on this point. We realized that it was possible to create finally a single shared document that was going to facilitate student and job market in recognizing the formation, the higher education. We foresee the possibility to finally overcome the legal barriers that destroyed my life in the last 3 years. And we were really excited about to create and implement our possibility to be competitive in worldwide with our educational program. And we also look at overcome the Erasmus Mundus project that is a great one, but is limited to master. So we saw the possibility to move to include bachelor and to include the doctorate. So what we did in Head of Fish, what was our way to work? And it was really demanding, but really satisfactory. We based our work on questionnaire. We released questionnaire to the coordinator of already existing joint program. We released questionnaire to ministry, to quality education agency, to employment representative, and to students. And after we analyze all this questionnaire, and then we activate focus group with the program director, workshop, national workshop with quality agency and with ministry. And this allow us to have a clear picture of what? On what is real in the world, in Europe now, and what are the obstacles that do not really allow yet to activate European degree in terms of joint program. And we release a specific consolidated report and outcomes of our work that you can find, they are public. And we analyze the proposed criteria that was present in the pilot phase in a critical way, and we were able to provide input to the release blueprint that the European Commission released the past month. And we were really proud because they actually accept several of our suggestions. But our recommendations were really, really detailed and based on reality, so really concrete. Overall, we were able to describe some recommendation for ministry, for quality agency education, and for higher education system. I'm not going to describe all in detail, I'll just pick some that I really believe are super important. First of all, the coordination that the EU Commission has to take in order to allow ministry, quality agency, and higher education to go on the same direction. Because we can nationally change rules, but if we don't do that on the same line, then we make change and we will never be able to talk to each other or make easy the creation of European degree. Then it's really important the branding. We need to advertise this, the relevance of European degree among students, among the job market. People need to know what is the advantage to have a European degree. Otherwise, there will be some description in the paper that only specialized people realize the relevance of, and this is not good. And then we have to, we recommend to use the tools that are already there. The European approach tool, the Bologna process, we don't have to be too creative on that. Just use what is available and apply what is available to reality. Finally, we really like that the higher education institutions are left free to try. But in order to do that, we need a bit flexible legislation. Because only with creating sandbox, we can really see what is possible, what is not, and then modulate based on reality, on how the student, the job market is reacting. Last but not least, I have to mention that we recommend the European Commission and the Ministry to support with funding. Because funding is relevant. And I'm not talking only about money. Money is fundamental for student mobility, for staff mobility. But also fundings in terms of recognition to the activity. We are academics, and up to now, there is no specific recognition for all the work that my colleagues and you guys are putting in this project of creating joint program. This needs to be fixed. It is a must. Otherwise, we will not be able to convince anybody to really put so much effort, and it's really a true job on this kind of project. And I think I can stop that.
Yeah, the call for more money was a cue.
Yes, I need to finish with that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing some of your ideas and strategies here with us. I hope somebody took notes. Let me turn to my left now and turn to our second panelist, Giovanni Betta, who joins us from the University of Cassino and Lazio Meridionale, where he is a professor of electronics and prorector of education. The University of Cassino and Lazio Meridionale is a member of a university alliance, namely EUT+, the European University of Technology. And we'll talk about that in your second contribution. Giovanni is chairman of the evaluation board of the Southern Higher Schools. He's a member of the evaluation board of the University of Catania and the University of Sannio, and most importantly, for his first contribution, he is a member of the Consiglio Universitario Nazionale, the Italian National University Council. Now, the Italian National University Council serves as an independent source of advice and recommendations to the Ministry of Education, University and Research on matters considered relevant to the university system, such as national programs, policies, and administrative practices affecting higher education, classification and definition of academic fields and disciplines for the purposes of recruitment, teaching and research, funding issues, and the approval of university teaching regulations. And so my first question to you would be to tell us about the vision of the National University Council on the internationalization and the innovation of curricula. Thank you.
Thank you, Florian, for your kind introduction, and thank you for the invitation. Let me first of all share with you my happiness. As you have said, I am a professor of University of Cassino, but I live in Naples, and so to see in Naples so many people coming from all Europe is for me a really good emotion. Antonella previously said that one of the problems of approving joint degree is certainly on regulation rules. And in Italy, the accreditation process traditionally is really very fixed, and it involves CUN, the council in which I'm a member, together with also Alessandro, and also ANVUR. We have two associations that are involved in accreditation process. And so, historically, Italy is not the best nation in which you can develop new programs, flexible programs. But I can give to all of you some good news that are happening in these last years. There were some new decrees from the ministry that introduce more flexibility in our in the accreditation process in Italy. So I can say, taking the sentence that I've read before, now you can only try, because if you do not try, you will not success. But really now, in Italy, the accreditation process of more flexible and international programs are really, I cannot say, of course I cannot say easy to develop, because nothing is easy. But certainly, if you follow quality criteria and you have a clear idea on learning outcomes and what you want to give to our students. Now programs are, can be produced. What is, in my opinion, the problems that are still really present in developing joint programs? I think that, of course, every one of you knows what happens with at first Erasmus, then Erasmus Mundus. Then the European Alliance Challenge is certainly a step beyond, because in Erasmus Mundus we've only to design a specific program with a specific task involving usually 3 nations, and so it's a very hard job, but it's easy to be designed. Now the challenge is to design programs that can be used theoretically by all 13 nations that are involved in an alliance. 9 plus you are bigger than EUT plus is a small alliance. The whole campus of the whole virtual campus of EUT plus, including all the university involved, is smaller than University of Napoli Federico II. So probably for us it's easier to design something common. But is certainly the challenge of the future, because our students need to choose their programs without having all the boundaries that we had when we are many years ago, when we are young, but also where you are young. You are younger, certainly younger than me. Now they want to move. They want to move one semester different from the other. They want to decide where to go, not before entering in the university, but during the. So, for example, I do not follow precisely your question. I introduced something about my EUT Plus experience. In EUT Plus, we are working about clusters. What does we mean it's cluster? Cluster of mechanical engineering. All universities, we are a technological European alliance, so we are focused on less curriculum than the one you are looking in your alliance. But everybody plays in this cluster all the courses that described in learning outcomes and all description that can be useful for students for choosing, in such a way that students can go, for example, enter in University of Cassino, and then after a semester, he can give a look to the cluster offered by all the other universities, and with a mobility map that are approved by the OT Alliance, and he can decide where to go. Of course, this is the vision, the construction, the building of this cluster is not an easy task. It takes, we arrived now in EUT Plus, they are working on this cluster since the starting of EUT Plus Alliance, and we are entered just now, but at the end, students will have for all the curriculum that he can choose, microelectronics, mechanical, computer science, and so on, he can choose how to move in Europe. And of course, what is the effect of this approach for a CUN, for a National Council for approving? Of course, we have also to try to modify our approach to accreditation of curriculum, accreditation of not only CUN. In Italy we have this other structure, this is ANVUR. ANVUR verify also the structure of your university. But what about structure verification if students move from one university to another one? In my curriculum, I do not offer only my laboratories. I offer all the laboratories that are available in Europe. So is a not easy modification of approach, of point of view. But I think I can tell you in CUN and in ANVUR in Italy. But I suppose that the same increasing of flexibility is also you can see also in other countries. There are some countries that are still more flexible than we are. There are some in our alliance. We have some university from Eastern Europe. We have Bulgaria, Romania, and they are more rigid than we are. Why I found that all that I can see in the nation that are in Aurora are more intrinsically devoted to flexibility. And so I think that the first contribution to the discussion can be stopped now.
We're still going to talk about, I think you were delineating the details of the European degree label in engineering, JEDI. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. Yeah. In the meantime, let us turn to another national institution, a national organization, namely CIMEA. And to Manuela Costone, who joins us from CIMEA. She's a lawyer and a member of the bar in Rome and has substantial experience in EU law. And at CIMEA, she's a senior project manager. Let me tell you about CIMEA first. Il Centro di Informazione sulla Mobilità e le Equivalenze Accademiche. This is an Italian course here. The Information Center on Academic Mobility and Equivalence, which, by the way, was founded in 1984, and so this is your 40th anniversary. So happy anniversary to CIMEA. The principal objective of CIMEA is to further academic mobility in all aspects, facilitating the understanding of the elements of the Italian system and the foreign education and training system. So basically, what CIMEA does, it owns an international document center and specialized databases on foreign higher education systems on the types of qualifications of every country and on the national legislation in terms of higher education. And just to give you an idea of their work, it supplies an average via email or other inquiries and free of charge. It supplies an average of replies to around 20,000 inquiries, 20,000 per year. I would love to ask you how many of them come from Aurora or from Aurora members.
We'll check.
Well, maybe you can answer. But first of all, I would like to ask you about how CIMEA contributes to the development of joint degrees and joint programs.
Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be today here and as representative of CIMEA for speaking about the long journey we did in the framework of the joint programs and joint degrees. Forgive me if I am a lawyer. Of course, when I started my research, I wanted to present the legal basis and the legal framework on which we started implementing, but then the romantic journey started. As the first time I heard about joint programs, I was working at the Conference of Italian University Rectors, and I remember some pioneers universities. Pavia was there, and Padova, and Bologna, the main universities, and when I say the main, they were the ones that could be able to invest a lot of money in the international relation offices, and they wanted to push the instruments, the legal instruments, in order to facilitate the development of joint programs. And the level of jointness was really poor at that time, and the tools they could count on were not so easy to be pushed. But also if you see the name of CIMEA, CIMEA, as you said, is the Information Center on Academic Mobility and Equivalence. We started to facilitate mobility as Erasmus Mundus. It started as a mobility program. So it's really impressive to be here and to speak about jointness in a completely different sense. As of course now we can speak as a community in the higher education sector. And we as CIMEA started in 1984 with this name. There were 6 countries in Brussels. It was June 1984. The countries were Italy, and we represented Italy in that case, and Germany, France, Luxembourg, and Belgium, of course, and Netherlands. And they decided to cooperate in order to facilitate recognition of qualifications in their national countries. So as you know, every national system can only cooperate with others, but now we can speak as a unique system of cooperation. And I think it's really great, as of course the Lisbon Recognition Convention in 1987, the Lisbon process in 1999, started to facilitate the use of some tools. And they were the National Qualification Framework, the ECTS, the Quality Assurance Elements, all things that we all share now. And of course, we can grow up together in a system that is shared. And it's really something that grew up in the years. And when I started working at CIMEA, we managed the national contact point for Erasmus Mundus. And it was a great opportunity to work with Italian universities in order to facilitate their participation in the process and in the program, of course. And today there was another anniversary as Erasmus Mundus is 20. And I received a lot of calls from some colleagues, from some students, and it was another romantic journey, thinking about how Erasmus Mundus could facilitate what we are today. As of course, when the program started, we need to look at the law. Sorry, in that case, and try to facilitate the accreditation of the joint courses. So it was something really difficult to manage as a new. Now we see that the dialogue between the university alliances and the Erasmus Mundus program is always open. Most of the participants in the alliances are or were coordinator of Erasmus Mundus projects. And at the same time, several alliances apply for Erasmus Mundus courses. And in the next future, probably the dialogue with the European degree and the Erasmus Mundus courses will increase. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to look at all this panorama and looking back and looking to the future, as I think it's a great adventure. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you for giving us a historical background in a way, and just to emphasize a contrast of how much has changed since the foundation of CIMEA. You're going to take a look into the future, the present and the future, and in your second contribution, when you talk about digitization at CIMEA, how that has changed the work and will change our work as well. But, Bernhard, do I need to introduce you? I will introduce you. Bernhard Fügenschuh, of course, joins us from the University of Innsbruck, where he is a professor of structural geology and geodynamics and vice rector for students and study affairs. And he has been vice rector since 2016. Congratulations. In Aurora, he is the lead of Task Team 2.1, the hub for sustainability and climate change. but he's here today to introduce a joint MA program that, can I say, that grew out of a former pilot domain, namely digitization and global citizenship, and it has a very, very beautiful name, namely Eurydice.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation, for the possibility to shortly, briefly introduce this new format. And just for a start, I must say, looking into the audience, I'm looking into a very, very bright future. In order to understand this, you have to move over here in the break, and then you see what I mean. That's beautiful. Yeah. So we are all facing a bright future, and I have to come back to just 2 weeks ago. What's the problem? Yes, that's better now? Yeah. Okay. 2 weeks ago, I was invited to Prague University, and there was an exchange on joint study programs. And I took the chance there to say that, and I'm pretty sure about that, it's very important to come back to the original speech of Macron and re-understand again the strengths of Europe, because in terms of diversity, inclusion, sustainability, and especially democracy, we are far ahead. And I think this has to be taken as fixed, and starting from that, we can then produce formats like this. And since you mentioned this wonderful name, yes, it's a love project. And I really say it's a love project. It is dedicated, of course, to digital societies, social innovation, and global citizenship. So you see that it tries to cover everything. But in fact, and I'm taking the next slide here now, if it's working, no, that's the draft version, kind of. Okay, so how can I move on? Where is this? There should be a, okay, I understand. That's jumping up. Okay, it's coming. Now, I have to move on. Yes, it's coming. So what you see here is the architecture of this program, of this master's program. And as you can see, this is quite complex. It is complex because we wanted to have it complex, because complexity like this means freedom. Freedom is a complex structure, and democracy is also complex. And we have already had some statements on how the architecture also of the European Commission and the individual states sometimes hinder us in getting ahead. But this complexity in that case, I think, helps us, because it's possible to make it. If you do it simple, it's getting more and more autocratic. So what we offer here is, in fact, a very holistic approach, a very holistic understanding that we want to get in. Students, for instance, are enrolled on all the 3 awarding universities, which is an additional kind of complexity. We offer on-site as well as online blended hybrid formats in terms of teaching. Students, and that's what you see on this architecture here, largely decide what to study, at which university, and even how. Specification, as you see them on the left side there, on culture, on education, on communication, is up to the students. And since this is not enough, you see on the right lower corner a so-called window of opportunity of 10 ECTS strengths. Another additional source of freedom for every student to choose in there amongst all the offers of all our university partners. And internationalization is thought as an inclusive and integrated process here. Students are active, and they need to be active themselves, and self-responsible learners. That's what we want to have. And staff, of course, on the other side of the page, they are facilitators. and support the students to act as change agents and innovators, responsible in the end to society. And the further we went together during our journey in Aurora, we saw that all the staff members that got involved in these forms, like peer learning activities and so on, they get more and more enthusiastic. It's now the job to make these offers understandable for the students. And that's a big job, so to say, because I agree that, Sabine, you mentioned these wonderful numbers that we produced so far, but there's a lot more that we can do, and it has to be distributed, it has to be communicated, and of course they should understand that this kind of freedom is their freedom, and this is a high value. You see, if you offer a very simple study program, then they go through, but they don't even know why they went through there. We force them to understand it's their life and it's their future and it's our society that we build together in formats like readership. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernhard. Maybe we can stay on that slide of the structure. Sorry. Thank you. Because Giovanni, I already invited you to talk about the joint European degree label in engineering, which has the wonderful name JEDI. Maybe you can tell us where there are points of connections, where you went in a different way and why.
Yeah, before going to JEDI, let me tell another successful European history. That is the NIA, the European Network for Accreditation of Engineering Education. Because it was founded in 2006, and after some European programs. This is an association of agencies that are located in really practically all nations in Europe that give the EURES label, European Accreditation Label for engineering courses. So, for engineering courses, there is already a very strong recognition structure, because we have in each country, for example, in Italy we have the agency Quaching. If Quaching give the EURES label to one engineering course in Italy, this EURES label is valid in all countries, and the same for all the countries in Europe. So we start for a very, for engineering courses, we have a structure that is widely diffused. What is the step for, oh, this is a very nice,
Shall we watch?
I can tell you that this is also by myself, but it's not the truth. What is the step further? What does it mean, an European degrees label? The work toward an European degrees label is really, in my opinion, it requires a great job from not only universities and researchers, but by countries, because it means to recognize that one group of universities give a title that is not a title of University of Federico II together with other of your university, but is an European title. And from some point of view, it can be seen, in the opinion of many, it is the final goal of all the alliance. but really is not so, I'm not so sure that all the nations agree with this approach. Not all universities agree with this approach, in some way to lose the label linked to the single university, and we obtained a label of an European level. There is a lot of job toward this direction, and of course the work done in JEDI projects was very interesting because we set up some criteria that can be can be used and can be valid for an European degree in engineering. But I can tell you that by applying what is the results of the JEDI project, we can already. There is a lack in the. We need a lawyer. There is a lack in the lawyer structure of Europe. We do not have an European degree. And if we all work toward this direction, probably in the future we will. And I think it can be also a way to promote European education system compared with, for example, USA university education system and other. Probably if we arrive to an European degree, will be more competitive in the worldwide competition.
Thank you for pointing out again the need to advertise. I've heard that several times here now, how to make our offerings, well, known to the students, known to our audience. Well, you just mentioned, well, there is no European degree, but there is a Commission blueprint. So originally I wanted to ask Manuela first, but Antonella, your perspective on the Commission blueprint for European degree. I think that would be quite fitting right now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question, because in reality the blueprint of the European Commission of European degree, it was for the pilot on the European degree label a nightmare, because it actually they basically force us to provide the output of 1-year project 1 month ahead of the end of the project. So really the project was like squeezed in 11 months. So honestly, when the Commission asked us to do that, for releasing the blueprint, we were not really happy. But at the end, it works. We work a lot and we succeed in contributing to the blueprint on European degree. And what it is, it looks like the European has a dream and we have to make this dream come true. Basically, after the release, what I was asked was basically, okay, now we have the European degree, what we can do, how we can activate this European degree. Is there? The European release of this blueprint, so can we activate? Well, not really. And it was not easy to explain within my alliance and within my university what this was what was implying the release of this blueprint. So definitely, in my opinion, the blueprint provides nice tools to guide the member state and the higher education in going toward the possible activation of an European degree. First of all, I like the idea of establishing a European Degree Policy Lab. And this is fundamental because in the blueprint we have some vision, but then if you want to make the vision a reality, then you need to be concrete. So you need to have experts within the higher education community, in the ministry, quality agency, And you really have to, all these people work together, and putting them together in a policy lab, it could indeed work. The definition of policy lab is not yet completely clear, but we are really optimistic and we want to be optimistic. Then they proposed the annual forum in order to put together in person all the experts in European degree development. And also this, I think, is great because to have the possibility to make people work on a side and then give them the opportunity to meet and discuss is fundamental. And then they ensure new Erasmus Plus funding in the direction of the design measure, so something similar to what has been done for the Erasmus Mundus, it may be done for the European degree. And this is good. We don't know exactly how much, how, when, but we are hopeful also for this topic. Overall, what I believe is really important as a take-home message from this blueprint is use it in our own nation altogether to push the ministry, the quality agency, to work in a European direction. Honestly, Ambur in Italy was really supporting of us as well as our ministry. And for what I see in EDAFISH, most part of the 19 countries ministry that we discussed with, they were positive. Of course, some countries with more constraints with respect to others. But I believe that if you take this as a take-home message, and we, as a member of pilot, try to be always present, sharing our expertise, because we did develop expertise at the European level, we actually make this stream maybe come, maybe not true tomorrow, but in the future. And the other thing that I think is really important is that the expertise that has been developed in the pilot, this needs to be taken into consideration by the European Commission. So we don't know how the policy lab will be built up, but definitely we have 6 pilots, and EDAFISH is only one of them, that work really hard on defining the criteria that are there, on understand what are the obstacles, and also identify ways to overcome the obstacle, because some are legal and some local obstacles people already try to overcome. So if we can, and we collect all this information, so if we can share with the European Commission and among the different countries, then maybe we can speed up a process that I truly believe is started. And just let me conclude in making a bit of history. In my view, we had Erasmus Mobility, the classical Erasmus program. It was great. It changed the way the students were facing their education. And it changed our way to see as academic education of the student. And then we have Erasmus Mundus, great. It creates a community. But now we have the possibility to make the step forward. And I really believe that not only associated to the Alliance, but also independently from the Alliance, the European degree is the step forward of all this journey. I really believe on that, and I hope that this is really the first blueprint that will allow us to move toward a European degree. And if I have still one moment, because I probably you realize that the European Commission started with the European degree label. And then in the blueprint, they talk about European degree. And they leave this possibility for all the country members to enter in the European degree world as with the label, which is not changing, it does not require the change in legislation, or with the degree that needs to change the legislation. I have a feeling on that. I think that to use the European degree label to start with is great, as long as the label is provided after dissecting the obstacle and trying to find solution to change the legislation. But then we need to go toward the European degree. And if we don't, like the European Commission did not put any deadline, what will happen, in my view, is that we have some countries that will stay with the European degree label, some other with the European degree, and when you try to activate a joint program with countries that have one possibility but not the other and vice versa, I think that this will be an issue. So I hope that the policy lab that is going to be activated will actually underline this critical point.
Thank you very much. It all sounds very inspiring. And so let's see how CIMEA could, with its expertise and its digital tools, help us make that dream a reality.
Wow. As you know, a roundtable without the word digitalization can't work, as it's the keyword, the magic, and you already heard before. So our task, as you heard before, now we started, I was too oriented on the history, but you know, today our network, the ENIC-NARIC network, counts 55 countries, European Union, but not only, European region, Council of Europe, and UNESCO countries. And our credential evaluators, they are asked to assess foreign qualifications that wanted to be recognized in the Italian higher education system, mainly for continuing their studies. And we compare, so the foreign qualification with the Italian higher education system. This is the main job of our credential evaluators. In the last years, since 2019, we, of course, wanted to facilitate our job, but at the same time, as you can imagine, several times you receive a qualification and you are not sure that it's not fake. It comes from a recognized institution. So there are a lot of checks that a credential level, apart from the value of the degree in our system, you need to assess something that is reliable in terms of authenticity. So that's why we started to work in using the blockchain technology. So we receive digitally the request, and we issue a statement of comparability. We verify the value of the degree by the blockchain, so by a trusted chain, in order to be usable only for the addressee, for the holder of the qualification, and of course we can also assess the authenticity of the degree by the same chain. And in this framework, one very interesting initiative is developed by CIMEA in cooperation with the Council of Europe, as we participate in the European Qualifications Passport for Refugees. So in those cases in which the refugees are not able to present sufficient documentation, or in cases of missing documentation, we activate a procedure in order to assess the competencies, and so by dedicated interviews, we can provide this passport for refugees. And also in this case, thanks to the European infrastructure for blockchain initiative, we can, as we are early adopters, and now our certificate, our passport, is given by blockchain. And last but not least, we are also implementing this EBSI Vector project. It's a way to facilitate the implementation of the European infrastructure for blockchain. And in this phase, we are collecting interest from higher education institutions who want to share their some user journeys to provide and to issue their user journeys by the blockchain technology. So, of course, here, most of you maybe already know what we are speaking about, but if you are interested to know more, please contact me, as of course it's an interesting upgrade in the digitalization and in the next future of joint degrees. And I cannot mention, of course, artificial intelligence. It's something new, and we are already thinking about their use, and we are already using some artificial intelligence-based tools in order to reduce the time consuming, I would like to say, as of course we can facilitate the job of our credential evaluators by using some automatic tools in the assessment of qualifications, but at the same time, of course, we need to be we need to know that, of course, the humans, we still need the humans, yes. Exactly. So this is more or less in brief words what we are doing in the field of digitalization, but of course in our website, cimea.it, you can find everything you need could be useful for you or by me. Thank you.
Just asking for more inquiries on top of the 20,000. Bernhard, it is 10:30, a little past 10:30. We have 2 more days, almost 2 more days ahead of us. What are we going to do? What should be our aim? Not just for the 2 days, but also maybe a little more long term.
I mean, there's an agenda already communicated. I think there's a lot of things to be done. One topic not yet mentioned so far, and very, very important on this way to go, is the topic of micro-credentials. So we are very, very close to somehow ideally sign a paper all together, how we proceed with that, because, I mean, everybody now perfectly mentioned that, of course, it would be very much awaited and expected to have this European kind of degree to make things more efficient on the one hand side, but on the other hand side, I hope that the next elections will allow us to, after these elections, still discuss about these topics and not completely different ones. So I think this is the next important step to vote during the next elections. Yes, the micro-credentials, they give us something that is a big added value in the sense of mobility. Yeah? Apart from any complex constructions and curricula and so on, and universities and people and everybody involved, they allow the students to have something in hand which makes them mobile by itself, as soon as they understand it. And if we then have our curricula rethought on the basis of learning outcomes, then it's getting flexible, the whole system. And you've seen our window of opportunity there. There's no problem at all to have a technical experience and expertise getting in and being involved in there. So I think this is a really big topic. It sounds micro, but it's really big in terms of content. So I think there is one big move that we can do during this meeting here in Naples. Yes, and of course, there are some other aspects like what I already said, this learning outcome, these student-centered logics, and it sounds very much like it's only taking care about the students, but I think this new approach is also in teaching, in team teaching, and so on, you name. There's lots of different ways to teach in the 21st century. And all those researchers and lecturers who got aware of this potential, they get really in line, and then they are helped by aspects like Louis or our Aurora competence framework in total, which is a helpful add-on. It's not hindering anybody to do something, it's just reflecting on a topic like this. So I think there are lots of points already set, and the next ones will come up during these open discussions that we always have. I enjoy that very much. I remember our meeting in Innsbruck when we, this is interesting in terms of digitalization and so on, we had these numerous video calls in order to set up a paper for all of us, which should help us to go along in the near future. And everybody on a digital basis accepted this. And when we then met in person, we started with zero again. So this was fascinating to see that there is kind of a different setting if you meet each other in physical presence or just on a digital basis.
Thank you. Ja, un applausone. Yeah, micro-credentials and sustainability and climate change. The hub has, of course, moved ahead. And are you still talking, or is it pretty much?
I think we should very much use the expertise here on the floor that we have another round, if that's fine for you, or you prefer coffee. No.
Yeah. So because we do have time, and I was going to invite comments.
Thank you,
and
Florian. We have the micro here for you to take the floor if you want to pose question or if you have any issue to raise to our colleagues in the panel. Wonderful presentation.
The field of micro-credentials, we are developing very, very interesting projects. They are capacity building projects. So now when we speak about micro-credentials, of course, we have in mind the European Union Council recommendation, but at the same time, it's something that is needed at global level. So everybody in every national system is interested. And one of these projects is in Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, and another one in Georgia and Armenia. And it's really, really interesting as we are jointly implementing these micro-credentials. And we are developing very interesting things on the basis, of course, of the local labor market. So it's very interesting. Time when we're collecting questions.
Yeah. Can I comment on micro-credential as well? Because, of course, also in the EC2U Alliance, we reason on that, and in the consolidation phase, we have some of the project focus on discussing and paving the way for a future use of micro-credential, but I have a personal view on that, about everything. Micro-credential, I think, are really powerful, but we have to reason on how to use them. First of all, because the students have difficulty in really understand what they are if they are not embedded within their curriculum, because they don't want to do something more with respect their number of CTS to get the degree. So we have to reason on how to embed, I believe, the micro-credential for the student in the curriculum. Another story if we use micro-credential for lifelong learning. In this case, is a tool that provides all the worker to upgrade their ability in a specific topic, and this I think is really relevant. But then there is another issue that I want to open the discussion on, and is regarding the job market, because you mentioned a project about micro-credential related to job market in specific country. So I'm not sure that in all the European countries the job market is really ready or not ready, but it really knows what micro-credentials are. So and I'm telling that because I had a meeting with the students and with workers. they understand that it can be a wonderful and strong tool for them in terms of formation. But then the main concern is will this micro-credential be recognized somewhere, somehow, when I'm looking for a job? And talking with the employment representative, that's not always the case. So I think it is important in terms of micro-credential to have a joint approach. Education, fine, but also don't forget about the real world, because we need two lines to go together and not parallel. Otherwise, it will be maybe not a win-win, but a lose-lose situation. And I'm telling, I really think the micro-credentials are the future, so I'm not against it, don't get me wrong. Only I think we really need to reason properly on how to create and how to advertise. Again, make branding of micro-credential is important. We need to make aware the person that will be the one getting the micro-credential of what they can do and how they can be recognized.
Yeah, indeed. I think there's two tasks. One trying to find out how it works technically, and then finding the right topic, the right audience, the right branding, as you said. I actually have an idea that I would like to talk to you about later. Yeah, micro-credential. No, but not sure if there are. Yeah. Sabine and...
Thank you. Yes, my name is Anna Bon. I'm from the Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam, and I have I'm talking with the Euridische team about micro-credentials a lot. We had many discussions, and we know also from the European Union how important micro-credentials are. So everybody's talking about it, and we believe actually that it's very important for this joint degree, and also to open up education to so many universities and exchange students. But my question to you is, do you have practical examples of already working micro-credentials that have been very successful and that we can use as, let's say, as examples or as showcases? Because that is what a lot of people are asking. So we are talking theoretically about micro-credentials and maybe organizationally how to organize it. But I think to persuade the content people and also the students of the beneficials of micro-credentials, we really need good stories. And that's what I'm looking for, if you have some examples of how it really worked in practice. Thank you.
I don't have any good example because we did not activate micro-credential yet. What we did, because it was very complicated to use the micro-credential word with some of our partners, so as you know, we need to be really careful in while respecting the legislation and the feeling of everybody in an alliance is really important. So what we did, and I don't know if this answers your question though, is to apply what the EU Commission recommended for micro-credential to release of open badges. And we release within the alliance, I don't remember, it's 4 or 6, 4 I think, open badges related to the SDGs of our joint master degree. And we created them in a way that they can be followed independently, and they have an open badge release with these specific competencies. But we select topics that are also courses within the master. So the students accept very nicely this possibility, and we had quite a bit of students. And out of the alliance, we activate, again, following the rules of micro-credential, a series of soft skill open badges, which for some courses they are recognized within the program, so they have some ICTS that the student can use in their program, and for us some other courses no, but this was really successful because we had to close the number of students on these specific courses. That's the experience that as EC2U and as University of Pavia we have on that. We did have a moment of advertisement with the employment representative of that, and that's when we realized, oh my God, they even know what they are. So we had like series of meetings, and I think that this is really important. But as far as the number of students, and not students, because for the soft skill, also graduated students apply and wanted to follow the course, it was quite successful.
We have a micro-credential in cooperation with the University of Naples, Federico II. So, and also our credential evaluators, they receive a micro-credential, and in this case, we represent the labor market. And so the higher education institutions is the one who issue the micro-credential. We give the expertise on the Annex 1, the elements of the certificate as in the European Union mind. When we speak about micro-credentials, we have to look at the paper as the final goal is to facilitate the recognition of non-formal education. So the idea is that the assessment will be the core part of a micro-credential. It means that somebody assess the existing of some competencies, and you can obtain them by a short learning unit, but also by work-based learning experiences. Or, please.
In my opinion, there are a lot of experience. Everybody are experimental micro-credential, open badge, and so on. The thing that, in my opinion, still lack is a global vision, the possibility of use really micro-credential as the fundamental element for building more complex programs, and this is still a little bit far, because as you have told very well, they are very diffused in lifelong learning, in informal knowledge, and they represent a really good way to recognize competencies that in the past are informally recognized to people. But the strategy of use micro-credential as a way to give students the possibility of build more complex programs is still a little far, in my opinion. Needs more than the different experiments that everybody have done in the past.
I mean, yes, it is a long journey, and I think some of these problems are generations problems. It has to be established. But to my mind, what we have in hand here, and the European Commission somehow gave us, is kind of a jewel. Yeah? And you're perfectly right. Yeah? So where does the journey go to? But in fact, in this case again, somehow we would have expected that the European Commission simply says a micro-credential is 10 ECDS. That's it. Micro 10. But now we are in endless discussion. So what is the frame? This is, again, what I meant before. This is the difference between our understanding of Europe, of our society. We discuss all these things. And then we ask questions, valuable questions. So what is this all good for? It is all good for something. And we have this flavor. Yes, this is the journey where it has got to go to. And this is this flexibility of learning path. This is this individual understanding of there is a strength in itself. Yeah, it's not just greenwashing intellectual capacity. Yeah, it's really a strength in itself. And how many ECDS it is? Then you have, on the other hand side, the university with the curriculum, and they have to accept this. But this is a journey. and we are just at the beginning. And we are the people highly committed to these things and still ask these questions. So what about all the others? We have to convince them all together. Yeah, thank you.
I fully agree. It's a journey, it's a process. Just started. I also heard in some cases micro-credentials means to cut. So you said 10 ECTS. Okay, 180 ECTS can be 18 micro-credentials. So just to cut the course in several parts, but of course it doesn't work.
That's nano-credentials then. That's the next step.
Yeah.
I think we're going to continue the discussion on micro-credentials on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, this is a shameless plug, from 4 to 6, when the task team 2.1 and 2.5 especially meet up to discuss this. But we do have more questions. Sabine?
Yes, my question was related to the European degree, even though the micro-credential topic is very important. And I was wondering if you could tell us what your recommendations would be to collaborate alliances or groupments of alliances that have worked on EDAFISH or this macro projects or JEDI, and alliances like us who have not participated but have this fantastic joint degrees in the making, like Redice, and what could be done in terms of collaboration also with national entities like CIMEA at national level, so that we could push this agenda, like you were saying a bit earlier, in Italy, but maybe also in the Netherlands and many corners of Aurora, where also other alliances are present.
Okay. So, of course, I don't have the final answer, but I can provide my opinion and suggestion based on the experience that we had in EDAFISH and also in SC2U. I think what is really important is there are forums for the alliances, groups of representatives of different alliances, and some of these groups are focused on education and on joint. So definitely to be present there and share the problem that we had at national level. But what I really think we should do, and we also recommended the European Commission as EDAFISH to do, is to create a sort of database that should not be a database that you forget about after it has been created because it's not useful. Like we have a database of the current joint program, but nobody will actually take care about it. So, okay, it's nice, we know we have many, but that's it. No, an active database where we can list the real obstacle at the national level and the institutional level, because what we realize that we have two different levels of obstacle. One needs the ministry to take care of, but you will be surprised how many they are local, so institutional, and these we can really solve without having the ministry to intervene. So I believe that it's fundamental to share this information in order for each of the different countries, when it comes to try to find a solution, see if somebody else already did. And when it comes to ask the legislators to change the law, then let's try to make the change in a European way, because what is actually going on, it has already happened, is that some specific country changed the legislation, for example, for joint program only associated to alliance. So, but what about the other? So it is really important that if as EU country we see an obstacle, we face this obstacle in a similar way, to facilitate the creation of joint program. So we have a big responsibility, but also the ministry has a big responsibility. What is fundamental is that we open a channel. We have a person to which we can, or our representative, talk with. For example, for EDAFISH, I'm talking about my personal experience in Italy. we were able to create a kind of task force or working group or working table or whatever you want to call it, among different Italian universities that are at the moment involved in alliance, because that was easy for us, but it's not exclusive group, okay? It does not have to be exclusive. Otherwise, we lose university. And we opened this table together with our quality assurance agency, ANVUR, that Giovanni just mentioned, and with the ministry. So we had workshop during EDAFISH, and we are trying to keep this working group active. So we have a meeting in Padova. There was a wrap-up of the pilot, and then we already fixed a meeting in June. So, of course, you need, it is demanding, because as academic, you are the one that push for this meeting, but if you create a nice feeling among all the key players, then it is easy, and I think that the output of this national workshop, because you need a national workshop to dissect the problem, then you bring those at the international level. And this database will be the place where you put all this different information. And then at the end, of course, the ministry has to talk about itself and agree, and we don't know if this will ever happen. But I do believe that this is a momentum. I agree, we have the European election, we don't know how it will go, we have no idea, but I'm also thinking that if we don't keep to be optimistic, then nothing will change.
Right, one more question? Yeah.
One more question, and it won't be long, otherwise I will shorten my speech in the next plenary session. So I'm Émilie Franquiel from Université Paris-Est Créteil, so Paris East University. Just a quick question about going back to the micro-credentials, but putting in the context of our mission to make university accessible to everyone, to providing inclusive education, and making sure everyone has access to the best science, best training, best skills. These micro-credentials, especially the open badge system, from what I understand, is also bringing in private interests and companies in the universities, and it forces us as universities to give them money for them to issue the open badge. And it means that the very precious money that we need to conduct these very important missions is also trickling elsewhere, because then we lose the capacity to issue these open badge, and we need private companies to issue them for us. And we're universities. So how can Aurora ensure that micro-credentials are actually issued by universities so that we keep the money for the best education, to make it inclusive, to make sure all the students have access to these wonderful opportunities? And in the same way, it makes me think also of the language certificates, right? We have the same problem there. Sometimes universities lose the capacity to issue these language certificates themselves, and then students lose a lot of money. And institutions who want to ensure their students have these language certificates lose money paying for the students to get these certificates from private companies. So what can Aurora do to solve this puzzle?
If I would have an answer, I wouldn't sit here. But I honestly think that the only thing we can do is we can say that it makes sense in such a big community to share expertise. When we start now to go back to the money, to every little cent and euro, then we are all lost. And I mean this, honestly, we're all lost then, because we will oversee that there is a high dynamics also in the studentships. They have different needs these days. They have different challenges. The job market, labor market has already been mentioned, but hundreds of things. And we have to cope with that. And this approach, I think that we are all going together, is a very intelligent approach because we make ourselves more dynamic, more flexible ourselves in order to offer them more dynamic, more flexible student pathways. Yeah? So I can just say, let's share expertise and let's share money, if this is an answer somehow. Thank you.
Can I comment on that very quickly? Very quickly. Well, I'm not an expert, I'm not an IT person, I'm a biochemistry. But what we face in EC2U when we decided to release Open Badge, of course the university is releasing the Open Badge, but we need a provider that ensures that the Open Badge are not corruptible. So at the beginning, we thought to develop internally IT system, and we're working for sharing well, for different things for the alliance. Then we realized that, and you have to do that. If you put money to organize a new IT system similar to the one that is already available and respect the EU criteria, then really you lose money. So it's a matter of put everything in balance. You need your micro-credential Open Badge uncorruptible. In order to do that, you need proper system. Company already have those, or you can generate. If you put the two things together, it will be cheaper to go for a provider. Then I'm not saying that maybe in the future, if all the alliance, because that's another important point, the IT is fundamental for the European degree, for everything in the alliances. And all of the alliance, I know, is working on a different kind of a set. Maybe we should really create a consortium and optimize the development of an IT system that can join in the force, and this will save money, that will work for all the purposes that are really similar at the end.
Well, we've added a new task to our list. Very good. Alessandro, I ruined your schedule. I'm so sorry. All the blame goes to me. All the thanks go to our four panelists, Antonella, Giovanni, Manuela, and Bernhard. Thank you.
And indeed, a big thank also to Florian for his chairing this wonderful panel. We have a break now, coffee break. Enjoy a bit. You can leave the room and take some coffee. And then be in time for the beginning of the new session.
No, thank you. It was... Oh, yeah. Surprise you what? Yeah. Interaction. Yeah, well, we need to talk, don't we? I mean, we're issuing micro-credentials, or we're trying to, and I guess at some point we'll all have the same problems. And
Yeah. It's very diffuse in every university in Italy and in Europe, or in all alliance. The discussion I've heard, we meet together very frequently in our alliance, and the topics are this.
Yeah. Well, it means we're not completely wrong here. Yeah.
No.
Well, not entirely. Yeah.
Got it.
Allora Roberto, qui c'è una presa, a te com'è la tua presa? 2? Allora qui forse c'è. Sarà funzionale. Sì, sì. Soltanto volevo provare se funziona. Testiamo, però magari. Però non è una cosa. È una sfida 2.
probablement me mettre ici. Yes. Exactly. And we've seen with Giorgio and the way we are going to. Apparently they have to move it. So, since you're là, il faut que les collègues reviennent du café. C'est vrai que c'est toujours un petit peu. People need to come back from the coffee break.
C'est vrai qu'il n'y a personne qui fait ça.
Ben là, j'ai demandé à des collègues, des collègues italiens. C'est pas mon institution, je ne peux pas trop non plus. Mais je vois qu'ils sont quand même à l'entrée.
Là pour la vidéo, j'avais besoin juste d'un micro. J'avais demandé.
Ah oui, oui, oui.
C'était extrait, peut-être dans le film du réseau.
Alors là, je ne vois pas les collègues de la com. Anna?
Because there's a documentary film, it's not just about comics. There's a filmmaker about what we're doing. The idea was to include Aurora.
Okay, are we ready to go? Is somebody else gathering people from the company?
Alors comment ça marche après? C'est lui qui marche. Vous allez vous partager le micro.
Je fais ça.
Thank you for being back. There are a couple of meetings at the moment, relevant meetings at the moment, but we are very happy to have our guests, Roberto, he's well known in Federico II delle Donne, Emily Franchiel, Sabine Saint-Rose, who will be chairing this panel on open science and participatory democracy. Thank you very much. Sabine, to you the floor.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming back, despite the wonderful weather and the fantastic coffee and pastries next door. I am very excited to be facilitating this panel because this is a subject that is very dear to my heart and also at the core of Aurora. So I will not waste more time and I will introduce our panelists, and I'm very glad that they could be available and speak to you today because I got really excited just preparing for this panel. So I'm sure you will appreciate that as well. And my first panelist is Emily Franchiel, who is Associate Professor in Political Science at UPEC, our new colleagues from Paris Est. She is also the Vice Director of the Political Studies Institute in Fontainebleau, part of UPEC. Vice Director of the LIPA Research Lab. You're also a university assessor in charge of participatory devices, and you'll tell us more about that. And you're an esteemed member of the Aurora Values Task Team as well. So welcome to you, Emily. And then on my right, I have Roberto Della Donne. You are a full professor in medieval history and this is an interesting one, methodology and history of historiography at the University of Naples here. Very interesting subject. And you coordinate the PhD program in historical sciences. And for the somewhat like 20 years, you have combined your interest in history and digital humanities with an active role in promoting open science, coordinating the Open Science Observatory of the Italian University's Rectors Conference. And since January last year, you have been a member of the European University Association's expert group on open science. So, can you please give a warm applause to our dear colleagues? Thank you very much. So first, we're going to dive a bit more in those terms and realities. What is, and I will start with you, Emily, what is participatory democracy, and why is it important?
Thank you so much, Sabine, for having me here. I'm really honored to be speaking in front of you today. Yeah, it is working. So here, I want to talk about citizen participation, but a specific kind, or maybe a slightly more, or actually more demanding type of participation, which is deliberative participation in a sense, or collective deliberation. So what do I mean by that? I mean that when we ask people to participate, when we create participatory devices, what we do is we complement the existing representative democracy, where people get to vote for people who make the decision. Now, in a participatory system or process, then anyone can join in the decision-making process. So it's a great challenge. It's a part of what we call democratizing democracy. And it is very important in the European context. You know, this is one of the distinct European feature, right? You know, that we find in our political systems, right? Democracy. We still encounter many problems, including with our representative democracies. That's why we still need to call for people to vote in the next elections. These initiatives to democratize democracy are a potential solution to actually make people want to participate through voting, but also through other processes. The difference between participation, well, citizen participation and citizen deliberation is that, or maybe I was too close, it's probably better now. The difference is that we are insisting on the fact that participants are equal. When we ask everyone to participate, well, people come with their differences, different educational background, different feelings of legitimacy and so on. In a deliberative process, we ensure we put people in specific conditions for them to feel that they have something to say. We train them more specifically. We ensure that other people are listening to what they're saying. So it's a way to involve, I'm reading the last part here, a way to involve people that are not generally part of the decision-making process, whether by rational ignorance or logistical difficulties. And we're not, we're creating a counterfactual situation, a mini-public. It's counterfactual because it's a situation of what if? What if the European citizens were all voting, but that they had time to reflect, to actually know what the question is, to understand the impact of their decision, to understand the impact of voting for one person and on another, on their interests, but also on the interests of their communities, on the children, the countries. One quite popular deliberative device in the last decade has been citizens' assemblies. And you've probably heard of the climate citizens' assemblies. In these situations where we create a mini public, bodies of people, where people will deliberate on what to do, right? And they will deliberate on very complex issues. So they are selected. We're creating a mini public of people who are a microcosm of the national population. And the idea is that people listen to each other. They are trained, they have a basic knowledge, and they share their experiences and their points of views. They all treat each other as equals, and they are led to be flexible. That is, they come with their opinions that might not be all fully formed at the very beginning. After a few days, then they will have developed a full-fledged opinion, which might be slightly different from the opinion that they had at the start. So why is it important? It's very important because we have very important decisions to make, and very hard decisions, especially regarding the environment. We're really at a crossroads now, and the planet, as we need it, as humans to live, might just collapse if we're not making very strong and hard decisions in the next few weeks. We know that, Europeans know that, and at the same time it's terribly difficult to impose what many people judge sacrifices, on the overall European population. So we need to decide together. And so that's why participatory democracy, deliberative democracy is important. When we have terribly hard decisions to make, when we have incredibly complex situations to understand, that will affect people in different ways, we have to put people in the same room to discuss things and understand, what actions can take place that are acceptable for different kinds of people. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Thanks to Sabine.
Thank you very much, Emily. Now, if we can change slides, I will give the floor to Roberto with basically the same question. What is it working? What is citizen science? What is the difference with open science, by the way? And why is it important for society and for Aurora?
Okay, citizen science as part, it is working, yeah? No. No. Citizen science as part of the broader open science movement involves public participation and collaboration in scientific research with the aim to increasing scientific knowledge. Open science is a concept that encompasses various practices aimed at making science more transparent, accessible, and usable for everyone. It includes open access to publications, the open data, and involvement of the public and other non-professional scientists in the research process. Citizen science plays a crucial role in this framework by enabling non-professional scientists or the general public to participate in the scientific process. This can include activities like collecting data, analyzing information, or sharing observations with professional scientists. Such collaboration can occur in many disciplines, ranging from astronomy to environmental science, biology, social sciences, and humanities. The benefits of integrating citizen science into open science are manifold. Firstly, it democratizes science by breaking down the barriers to access and participation. This not only helps in engaging in a broader audience, but also taps into a diverse pool of ideas and experiences that can enhance scientific outcomes. Secondly, it can lead to large-scale data collection at a lower cost, making it feasible to undertake studies that might otherwise be too expensive or logistically complex. Next slide. Moreover, citizen science fosters a greater public understanding of science and enhances public trust in scientific processes and findings. When people are directly involved in scientific endeavors, they are more likely to understand and accept the conclusions derived from such research. Next. Digital platforms often facilitate these contributions, enabling widespread participation and collaboration between professional scientists and the public. This inclusive method accelerates research, diversifies knowledge, and promotes a broader understanding and engagement in science and culture. Next one. In the humanities, projects might involve transcribing historical documents, categorizing archival materials, or contributing to digital art collections which can enhance cultural heritage, understanding, and preservation. By engaging with these scientific processes, communities learn to view their cultural identities and heritage through a less dogmatic and more nuanced lens. This understanding encourages a more complex appreciation of their cultural heritage, fostering dialogue among diverse identity narratives within the same community. Such dialogue can lead to greater mutual understanding and a deeper shared recognition of the rich and multifaceted nature of cultural contexts. Next. In summary, citizen science is a vital component of open science, contributing to scientific research by involving non-professional scientists in meaningful ways, democratizing access to science, and enhancing public engagement and education. This collaboration not only supports scientific research, but also promotes an informed citizenry, which is essential in addressing complex global challenges. Next. UNESCO and other international bodies offer insights or policy papers on the role of citizen science in achieving sustainable development goals or in global science governance. European and international institutions have been actively supporting citizen science, recognizing its value in engaging the public in scientific research and fostering innovation. For instance, European Union's Horizon 2020 program has integrated citizen science within its Great Deal projects, examining how these initiatives can be incorporated into broader research and innovation strategies. Moreover, the European Union has established a Citizen Science Prize managed by Ars Electronica to recognize outstanding projects that contribute to a diverse, inclusive, and sustainable society. The Time for Citizen Science project, funded by the European Union, also exemplifies support for citizen science by focusing on embedding citizen science within research-performing organizations. These initiatives demonstrate a robust effort to promote citizen science, not only as a tool for data collection, but also as a crucial component of social innovation and public engagement in science. Next one, last one. Here are some notable citizen science initiatives in Europe. I can go analytically in all of them, but of course, if some question will come later, I can do that. I stop for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, there's a clap. Thank you very much to both of you for putting together this conceptual framework and giving some examples. This is excellent. I would like to touch now a bit more on the added value and the European level, because as a citizen, I have participated in some projects in citizen science when I was basically counting wildlife with my family when living in the Alps. Or I have also been in several panels linked to my local city council on some developments. So as a citizen, I can really relate with those approaches. But now, what about Aurora? What Aurora and also our European level, quite far away from my little Alps, let's say, can bring to those approaches, and what can we benefit from, and what is the practice going to be looking like at this European level? But just for a quick feel of the room, how many of you have participated in such initiatives? Counting birds or wildlife, being in some panels? Yes, a few of you. Well, now more courageous people are raising their hands. And how many of you, keep your hands raised, please. Thank you, so that we can look at you and admire you. How many of you do think that there is added value at European level? Even more, okay. Well, that's nice. You have conquered the room, as we would say in French. So please, can you tell us more on your views on this point? Sorry, I thought...
Okay.
You want it? Or?
The next one. Thank you. Well, a European University Alliance like Aurora, which focuses on innovation, research, and education across multiple universities in Europe, has a mutually beneficial relationship with citizen science. The first question, so to say, what citizen science brings to Aurora? Citizen science can provide researchers within the Aurora Alliance access to a broader range of data collected by citizens across different regions. This data is particularly valuable in fields like environmental science, epidemiology, and sociology, where large-scale data collection is essential. By involving citizens in research projects, Aurora can enhance science education and literacy among the general public. This not only educates people about scientific methods, but also raises awareness about the research topics Aurora focuses on, such as sustainability and social innovation. Citizen science often involves innovative data collection and analysis methods. utilizing tools like mobile apps and online platforms. Incorporating those methodologies can inspire new research techniques and technologies within Aurora. Engaging a diverse range of participants through citizen science initiatives can bring different perspectives and ideas into academic research, which might lead to new insights and breakthroughs that a more homogeneous academic group might miss. What Aurora brings to citizen science, I would say, next slide, scientific rigor. Aurora can provide the necessary expertise to ensure that the data collected through citizen science projects is valid, reliable, and scientifically rigorous. This improves the quality of the research outputs and their acceptability in academic circles. Scalability. With its network of universities and resources, Aurora can help scale citizen science projects beyond local and national levels to a broader European and even global audience. This scalability can significantly enhance the impact of the research findings. Interdisciplinary collaboration. Aurora's interdisciplinary environment can facilitate collaborations across different fields of study, enriching citizen science projects with various academic perspectives and methodologies. Aurora's position in the European academic and political landscape can help elevate the profile of citizen science data and findings, influencing policy decisions at higher levels. Aurora can provide the necessary funding, infrastructure, and technology support to sustain and expand citizen science initiatives, which are often limited by resource constraints. In conclusion, the synergy between Aurora and citizen science can lead to a more engaged public, enhanced scientific research, and the development of innovative solutions to complex challenges. This relationship not only advances Aurora's mission, but also promotes a broader culture of scientific curiosity and public participation in scientific endeavors. I stop here.
That's already a lot, actually. Well, thank you very much. This is very interesting to have your perspective. But would you say there are so many advantages to such synergies for participatory democracy as well, or
I would certainly say so. So what's interesting is that participatory democracy hasn't been so integrated into our universities yet. And yet, there's a fantastic potential in doing that. And so that's what I will try to convince you of. So here you can see that these climate assemblies are mainly taking place in Europe already, but they are taking place outside of universities. And we're only a few universities who are now organizing our own citizens' assemblies involving students especially. But what's interesting is that in these assemblies, we get different people together to make decisions. And I think it's very important for our universities to also form very strong communities within our universities. So having students working together, no matter the topics that they are studying, no matter their level, no matter the career they have in their minds, but also getting them to work with the other communities in our universities, that is, with their teachers, with researchers, with the administration, without which the university doesn't hold together. All of these people have to work together and make these decisions, these hard decisions together at our level, and then also expand to our partners. So Aurora, so we are already doing this at UPEC. We are now organizing our 4th edition of a Citizens Assembly. It's involving more than 400 students with a lot of guests as well, and a lot of local governments, and also some French ministries are involved. And the idea is for us to update the way we teach, the way we conduct research, the way the university functions as well, right? And there is a task team on the green campuses as well. And I'm very proud to say that yesterday I took the train from Paris to Naples, and I didn't fly. And I think these are practices that we could also try to encourage ourselves to do when we have time, and try to lower our carbon impacts. Universities can be pilots for some practices, and also in terms of decision-making process. And the idea is to become more sustainable, but in a democratic manner. So we are already doing this at UPEC. We have deliberated, so we are giving students many roles, not only as participants, but also as moderators of the debates and ambassadors, and also taking part in the research that we're producing. This is the organizing team. And we're also selecting some to represent future generations, because that's the idea, right? The planet will remain, but are human beings going to be able to live in it in a comfortable way? Well, maybe not, if we're not changing our practices. So the first edition was on food, the second one on digital society, the third one on the future of the university with specific attention to water and the commons. And so it takes place over several months, a lot of preparation, then 2 months of deliberation, offline in rooms, in very small groups of 10, but also thanks to an online tool that is called Decidim. And the idea is for students to take part in the agenda setting, right? Identify some problems, some issues, identify some actions, getting to meet different types of people, and then, producing these proposals, producing some theater plays as well, and some arts, and getting involved, feeling empowered. And if you're interested, we have produced, a filmmaker has produced a documentary film on what we have done. And I would like to finish this on saying this is a very peculiar pedagogical and institutional experience. Everybody's changing position, right? Teachers are no longer teaching. They're learning along with the students on different topics that might not be their specialty, right? Their comfort zone. They're learning how to live on this planet if the main issue is, planetary boundaries and environmental protection. But we can also focus on different issues like inclusion and many other very complicated topics. Researchers are also, sharing their research in a different way. And we're producing research on this as well. There's a lot of research on participatory democracy and deliberation. And here we're in a very different context and very interesting. So what's happening now is that we are more and more universities organizing this. There are some universities that are not only putting students at the center, but are really mixing students with the other university communities as well, with administrative staff and researchers and teachers more. And there are now 19 members of our network of deliberating universities. One other university is from Aurora, because the Vrij University in Amsterdam is also going to organize its Student Citizens Assembly at the end of this year, I think. I think we can bring this to Aurora. We would like to share this experience with you. We would like your universities to also try to introduce deliberation in your practices. It's not to replace the current governance, it's to complement it in the way that, you know, these processes have been invented to democratize democracy. We're trying to democratize the university democracy as well, to make these hard decisions. For instance, you know, how can we encourage people to take the train more than fly, even when we're going to Naples? And what kind of impact does it have? And then how can this radiate outside of university? So how can we have an impact all together within our universities, within our alliance, and then I think we can be much stronger if we're together. That's what Aurora can bring to our network, to our existing deliberations. If more universities from Aurora participate to this, then we will come up with more ideas. We will be able to implement actions that are going to be maybe more adapted to different situations. All European universities are not facing the same type of student population, not the same territorial, you know, situations and so on. So if the Aurora community participates in a synchronous manner to these processes, then maybe we'll also have more impact at the European and maybe global level. And just to finish on this, there are now discussions that at the European level there are going to be youth citizens' assemblies, especially on the issue of biodiversity. And I think universities have to play a very strong role, not just as outside actors, you know, sending some cherry-picked researchers and so on. But I think we also have to experiment with these processes, make them better together, and this can have a European and global impact.
Perfect, thank you very much. Now, allow me to be a bit controversial. We have many colleagues that raised their hands, that said, yes, they are involved in such initiatives, but are we not just preaching to the converted? Is it just this group, how representative is it? And when I was visiting your institution actually last January, I stopped in a bookstore, love books from my language, and I saw that there were some publications exactly disputing this very question of participatory democracy, and the fact that it was not a solution, a replacement to a solution to the difficulties that representative democracy was knowing in our countries in Europe and beyond. So what do you respond to that?
Thank you. That's a very, very important question. There are two aspects I want to emphasize. Maybe I'll start with this one. The problem that we have when we open the gates of decision-making with participation, with participatory democracy, is that usually we get the usual suspects, or in French we say toujours les mêmes. It's always the same people who participate. So they are not elected representatives, but they are the same. They are too similar to the people who already get elected. That is, there are people who feel legitimate to speak on behalf of others. There are people who are already informed, people who are already interested, people who are already concerned, people who already have time to devote to these issues and so on. But then we still don't get to listen to the others. And so that's the difference between participatory democracy and deliberative democracy. In deliberative devices, we go and try to find other people, and we ensure, we put them in specific conditions for them to feel legitimate to speak. We give them a long training and time to develop complex thinking on the complex issues. So that's, one, I think that's if we introduce not only participation, but deliberation in our universities, then we're already meeting one of the challenge that you mentioned, one of the features of this challenge that, it's not going to change the situation much. Now, another source of frustration related to participatory democracy is that what we're doing is we're asking people to work. This is hard work. You know, taking part in a participatory or deliberative process is hard work. You work for months, and then what happens? How impactful will that be? And that's the difference between consultation and, that's the difference between consultation and deliberation. It has to be binding. There have to be promises. You have to have an impact. So it doesn't mean that, for instance, at the level of the universities, the presidents of the universities will say, whatever you decide, no matter what our governance, our representatives say, we will do it. No, that can't work that way. But there has to be a very strong promise that what the students who participate produce, and they do it very thoughtfully, very carefully, then whatever they propose will be discussed, will be listened to. If it cannot be implemented, it has to be justified and explained. And I think through this type of engagement, then we're already meeting a second, a very important challenge to participatory democracy. Now, I would like to add one last thing. I think that's what has been lacking as well in many participatory devices compared to, the step forward that we have in deliberative processes, is that we have the very strong emphasis on training. And I think that's why universities are one of the best places to actually organize these processes. If you ask people to participate, but they don't get the extra training, they don't learn more, and it's not enticing them to be even more curious about the world, to be curious about scientific results, and respectful as well of the work of scientists, and of cross-checked, fact-checked science, and well, then we also fail our mission. So if you just, ask people to participate, they just answer very quickly, but they don't learn in the process, then you're not doing much better than in the current situation.
Very good. Thank you very much. Yes, another round of applause. Well, I hope this has inspired many colleagues in different universities, and I know from your talks with our colleagues at the FU that this is really cross-fertilization and capitalizing on best practices. But now, if we look into citizen science, Roberto, and before I give the floor to the room for more questions to you, can I ask you if some colleagues, academics, project managers, staff members, should consider embarking on citizen science projects? What would be the challenges and what would be your recommendations to them?
Well, embarking on citizen science projects involves navigating a series of challenges that require careful consideration and strategic planning to avoid that they become big issues, we can say. Here in the slides are some of the primary challenges that academics and project managers should address before starting such projects. First of all, ensuring data quality and integrity. Providing proper training and easy-to-use tools for participants is crucial for collecting reliable data. This might include detailed guidelines, training sessions, or intuitive apps that help standardize the data collection process. Implementing mechanisms for data validation, such as cross-checks or automated algorithms that flag outliers, can help maintain the scientific integrity of the data collected. Secondly, managing diverse participant expectations and expertise. Clearly communicate the goals of the project and what is expected from participants. This includes detailed instructions, the scope of their involvement, and the impact of their contributions. Design the project to accommodate varying levels of skill and commitment. This might involve creating different roles or tasks that cater to both novice and experienced participants. Thirdly, securing adequate funding. Accurately estimating the cost of tools, materials, training, and data management is essential. This helps in securing adequate funding to cover all aspects of the project. Exploring diverse funding sources, such as grants, partnerships with non-governmental organizations, or crowdfunding, can provide a more stable financial base. Number four, maintaining engagement and trust. Keeping participants engaged by providing regular updates about the project's progress and how their data is being used can foster a sense of ownership and satisfaction. Recognizing the contributions of participants through acknowledgements in publications, celebratory events, or certificates can enhance motivation and trust. Legal and ethical consideration, data privacy, we can say, ensuring that personal information is protected according to local and international data protection laws is critical. Participants should be informed about what data is being collected, how it will be used, and who will have access to it. Clarifying how the results will be used and any intellectual property rights associated with project outputs is important. Participants should understand if and how the results might be commercialized. Technical infrastructure, now the number 6, developing or utilizing robust platforms that can handle large volumes of data securely and efficiently is essential. This includes considering data storage, backup procedures, and user support. Systems should be designed to scale up, accommodating an increasing number of participants or expanding geographically without compromising performance. Cultural and social sensitivities. Projects should be designed with an awareness of cultural and social contexts, especially when involving diverse communities. This includes using appropriate language, respecting local norms, and addressing any potential social impacts. Last one, so to say, artificial intelligence should also be considered when planning and managing citizen science projects. Artificial intelligence can play a crucial role in addressing some of the key challenges and enhancing the capabilities of these initiatives. By carefully addressing these challenges, academics and project managers can set a strong foundation for successful citizen science projects that not only contribute to scientific knowledge, but also engage the public in meaningful ways. That is it.
Thank you very much. I would like to give the floor to our colleagues and students as well on those two very interesting topics in general and also for Aurora. I think there's definitely possibilities for us to harness the powers of those tools, those approaches for our community. Is there, we have some mics, are there some questions or comments? I see Pim raising his hand.
Well, thank you very much for these interesting, very interesting presentations and discussions. Indeed, a very hot topic. For those who don't know me, Pim de Boer, I'm working for the Aurora Central Office in Brussels. So I'm quite connected to the European Commission and the whole Brussels bubble. And I mentioned this is a hot topic because for the next the European Research Area policy agenda, let's say the rules of the game, how to deal with research and innovation, which includes trust in science. We were already engaged as Aurora in the development of area action on citizens in engagement and science for policy, but also in trust in science, which is equally important, or well, for citizens, even more important. So it is really important that Aurora gets engaged and remains engaged in the ERA policy agenda, because only in this way we are able to influence the policymakers at the national level and at the European level, and via another ERA action also at the global level. Well, we are a global network, so yeah, please keep in contact.
Thank you very much, Pim, for this comment. Barbara? Barbara.
So thank you for the mic. And my name is Barbara Buchenau. I'm in charge of the joint education in Aurora. And I was very fascinated by the two talks who actually talked to each other. And I want you to spell out one of those empty spots in between. Namely that the more contribution does not necessarily mean the more peace, but rather the more people are involved, the more do they demand to actually be listened to. And I think you mentioned the fact that the communication of the many items in which I might have contributed, but then my point might be dropped. But that's a very crucial negotiation to be made. And I think both for the leaders that are now in charge and those who are trained to participate, I think we need a conversation about learning to voice frustration, but also learning to accept that the more participation, citizen science as well, does not mean that there's more peace. It actually means that people will have stronger demands on leverage, on being heard, on finding change really happening. So I think that's one of the things that I am concerned with as we put the universities in contact with society. Thank you.
Very good. It's about linking to your point of democratizing democracy, very hard to say. Do you want to comment on this?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much for this very important question. I agree that more participation and more people being involved in the decision-making means more demands. I'm not sure it means less peace. What do I mean by that? I mean that if, for instance, we take the topic of end of life, the second National Citizens Assembly in France was not devoted to climate any longer, but on the end of life. That's a very controversial topic, and people with very strong religious values, came with very strong opinions, and the flexibility was very hard to get. In the end, what political scientists like Yale professor Hélène Landemort observed. What they observed was that there was a very strong community of the participants. It was more than 180 participants. And even though there was a strong minority voices that were against what the majority of the participants were proposing, they all in the end call themselves a strong community. And actually, Hélène Landemort is now writing a new book on the loving relationship that develop when people actually get together for such a long time and form this kind of bubble of working together and respecting their differences and respecting their different opinions. And what's important in terms of design of the process is that in the end, when you get the final reports and the proposals, the majority could be just crushing the minority, right? But so what they have done for that specific situation was that in the final report, there were the sort of more consensual proposals, but the minority proposals were also present in the report, and it was explained, actually how many, what also the sort of quality, the content of their discussions, and how what they were saying, even though they didn't win, right, the arguments, but how they actually enriched the conversation. And so I think that if we could, sort of propagate this type of process, right? And we all, at some point in our lives, and including our students, because they're students, and we organize this in universities, early in life, they learn this process of listening to each other, even when we have very conflicting views, and still going forward and coming with a result that is acceptable for everyone. Then I think we could learn to live in a better society and a more peaceful society.
Is it working? Yes. Well, yeah, I think, of course, in some way, that engage the public in scientific research and data collection is a challenge. And it means that the different steps, the different moments we have to go with require lots of time and concentration about how to organize the work. Otherwise, it won't. The results won't be the expected ones. But there are some projects already realized in the European area, so to say, in different domains and disciplines that have been successful. No? So, of course, we have to try to learn from this project. Now, to propose the way, the methods they used in other contexts. It requires lots of work, as we know. Every time that we try to engage non-professional in our research practices. But in some cases, when we have to collect big amount of data, and we can define, so to say, the instruments that they have to be used, a simple one, no, not too much difficult to use or at least not after a proper instruction period, then you can get some results. So I'm always a little bit optimistic, but that's it.
Thank you very much. Another question? Oh, two. Ooh, three. This inspiring talk is really inspiring. That's great.
Pasquale Sellito from UPEC University was also thinking, was maybe linked to what Barbara said before, so another risk of citizen science. So Roberto discussed many ways of participating. So one is data collection, which still is risky because you have to validate data. So I did something in this field as an atmospheric scientist, and yeah, you need to validate data. But there's another kind of participation, which is interpretation of data. So, I mean, in this case, I was wondering, being part of the climate change community, there are big risks because I think about fields like these where you also have some economical interest and also politics, you know. And in our community, we 100% sure that the origin of the climate change is anthropogenic, but if you talk with people, that's not quite the proportion. So you have like half and a half, maybe someone more people than you expect are really thinking for extra scientific reasons that the origin is not anthropogenic. So as a climate scientist, I was wondering how you deal with this kind of risks when you have you know, more different interests, and also pseudoscience. You know, when you have pseudoscientific thinking, you have to deal with this in citizen science and how you do this, for example, for this topic of climate change.
If we think at the level of interpretation of data, of course, I think that the leadership should be inside from the scientific community, of course. Then that there can be different interpretation of data. This is also part of the play that we are called to discuss with our colleagues and with non-professional people, so to say. And so long we can use rational arguments, and our arguments are strong enough to be convincing, I think this is the only way that we can go to also to educate people not formed to scientific research on the way that it should be reflected, so to say, on the data. This is the example in working together that can be instructive.
Educating and training is really one of the commonalities of your approaches. Emily, do you want to complement?
Yes, I totally converge with what Roberto has said. If we take the example of these assemblies again, and during at the beginning of the Paris climate assemblies, there were also some climate skeptics. But then we had this massive consensus at the very end. And it means that when people get to work together for a long time, they feel listened to, they feel trusted, they feel legitimate to voice their opinions, but they're also in the process of changing their opinions, or actually getting to understand the science. These processes are really interesting because they are also forcing us scientists to speak in a more common language. And it's also breaking up the barriers between the scientists, you know, those who know and those who don't know. Right? And when you actually equalize, there is a risk, right, that the people who don't know then take over. But then the benefit is actually you equalize, and then they feel empowered, and then they will take the time to actually learn. And you know, you have to put them in the right conditions to do so, but right, to listen to others, listen to scientists. Scientists will make the very difficult steps to make their research results accessible to everyone, right? And then also listen, take the time to listen to what these climate skeptics have to say and the reasons why they are not accepting the scientific results and they are not actually digesting them. To me, the only way to do this is to work together and to break down these barriers. It doesn't mean that we should not study for 10 years, that we should not be experts in our fields and so on. But it also means that we have to learn to better communicate, and that we also have to make the people we want to talk to feel that we respect them and that we and that they actually deserve our attention. And I know it's very hard, to speak in the media and so on, but that's also what we have to do, take these very difficult risks, this risk and difficult situations into account and actually go there and speak in simple words about what we know and what everybody should also know.
Thank you very much. I think our time is up, and I couldn't think of a better conclusion in terms of us reaching out and being open and creating peace and dedicating the time and energy to education and training for that. I would like you to give a warm applause to our two fantastic panelists. Thank you very much to you, and also to the organizing team and Alessandro for actually running with this idea of such an inspiring talk when we proposed this to our colleagues. I think now it's time for lunch, maybe? No? Ah, sorry. Obviously, I didn't have enough of those beautiful cakes at the break. So I will give you the floor, and thank you very much, and see you later for more conversation at lunch, because I know there were some more questions, and later on during this biannual. Thanks a lot.
And just to remind you that also there won't be a special meeting for the Aurora Values task team, but some of us are here. Vit and I, will welcome your questions if you want during lunch break or any other time.
As you have understood, now it's a moment for us that is really, really, really important. Just presenting you the 800 years of Federico II, more than a celebration. Yesterday, our rector explained you the reason why we are so much committed to the foundation letters and the ideals of Federico II in establishing the first state university in Napoli. We would like to say a bit more on how we are trying to interpret and practice these 800 years, more than a celebration. Before doing that, I'm very happy to have with me my colleague Valentina Della Corte. I just want to show you a brief more video concerning Federico.
Cześć, nazywam się Ola i jestem z Poznania. Welcome to the land of Federico.
Welcome to the land of skiing.
Hola a todos, me llamo Jaime y vengo de Santander. Welcome to the land of bicycles.
Olá, meu nome é Maria e ciclismo. Welcome to the land of farms.
Hola, me llamo Oscar y he venido a Naples desde Santander. Welcome to the land of the culture.
Hola, me llamo Sara y vengo de la Universidad de Valladolid. Welcome to the land of artisan. Welcome to the land of Welcome to Naples. Io sono Federico. Welcome to the land of Mars.
To the land of Federico. But since we are a community, all of us are Federico or Federica, if you prefer. So it's a pleasure for me to introduce Professor Valentina Della Corte. Valentina, please join us. You can take a seat or be standing as you prefer. Valentina, well, we have invited Valentina for one main reason. She's the delegate of the rectors to the 800-year celebrations. But Valentina is also professor of economics and business management. We value Valentina for many different reasons, because as a professor, she is part of the evaluating board for the Hamburg for degrees studies. But Valentina is also the founder of a BA degree, bachelor degree in hospitality management. In the second and the third year, this degree is in English. That is something that is quite innovative for us. And also, and she is also the coordinator of a master in hospitality management. It's full in English. So thank you very much, Valentina, for being with us and presenting not only a celebration of 800 years, but how a university see its own future in the next 800 years.
Good morning. I'm really glad and honored to be here and to show you to give you some hints regarding the history of our university and how we are projecting us in the future. Federico II University is the first like university in the world, founded by this man that was a real visionary man, because we have a letter of foundation that you received, I guess, by the organization, where he had a very open-minded approach. So people coming from different areas of the globe were invited, different cultures, different religions. I was listening before the interesting speech regarding the peace application, so this is in line with our mission. To do this work, we had to find a way, because we are a very big university. As you know, we have more than 2,500 academics, and also 2,500 of people in the administration, and 80,000 students, more than 80,000 students. So the point was, how can we valorize our patrimony, both tangible and intangible? So we were inspired by the main issues of Federico II. Federico II was a visionary man. He used to invite scholars and students that were outstanding and had some talents to stay in our university that became the most important in the Mediterranean area. He even provided them where to stay to support them with scholarships. You know, it was only 1224. And so he called the best scholars in the world, and 4 languages were spoken: Latin, Greek, Arab, and Jewish. So you can understand how it was. Then he was also an innovative man and had a global perspective. And another thing that I would like to underline is also that he was a man of institutions. Here, the first important managers in the institutions were formed, okay? So it was the first university to do this. With this perspective, we tried to valorize what Federico II University was able to do in terms of changing the places. As you could see by the video, we are widespread all over the city, and not only in the city, only in a wider area. How to change people, the frames of mind. There have been very important scholars here that have changed a lot of sciences. And at the same time, changed the world, because some of our researchers, some of our activities had a great impact in the world. So from this point of view, we understood this as an opportunity to see and show the others what are the main values and attractive factors of our university and how we can imagine our future 800 years. So the history was divided into 4 main phases, and we have excellent people that took place to our life. You can see some of them in the Cortile delle Statue, okay, which is in the area in Corso Umberto, where there are a lot of them. And so we divided our history in 4 phases, as you can see. Now, the concept was how to translate this history into something that could make the others understand which are our main values and our main strategic resources. From this point of view, I developed a program where we had 3 main areas: the area of culture, the area of innovation, and the area of sustainability. So all our scientific areas were in some of these lines, and for each line, we tried to show not only the wonderful places we have, but also all the activities, the scientific activities that are developed connected with those places. And we also tried to, we founded the first study center in Federico II, because there were many studies all over the university, but we didn't have one central study center. And at the same time, we tried to reinforce as much as we could the Federician community. I think this is a very important issue, because as we could also listen in the video, I am Federico is our motto right now. And we made a lot of activities that really fostered the team building between Federician academics and the people that work in this university. Then we had also the issue of innovation and the issue of sustainability. Innovation, we tried to merge the aspect of culture and sustainability with innovation. So from this point of view, we made wonderful interventions in terms of metaverse, in terms of AI applications, also in our museums, but not only in our museums, in the statues of the Cortile delle Statue. I don't know if you, unfortunately, on the 21st of June, so we will have the first show of Federico II statue that comes out of the statue and is interacting with people. So this is the first metaverse in university museums in Italy. And so it was very interesting because there was an interdisciplinary approach to make this kind of interventions. The 21st of June, that is very important because it's the beginning of summer, we also will show the meridiana that has been realized by engineers in 3D. And this meridiana signs the most important phases of our history. It will be set in the central building of our university. All these activities will be shown to the public on the 21st of June. Then we developed the program, and in developing this program that was inspired by the 3 lines I showed you, we tried to work in 3 different directions because through experiences, so we had the possibility of organizing together with the FI, which is the Fund for Environmental Development, some initiatives where the volunteers of the FI were working with our professors and researchers and PhDs to organize some opening days where Federico II opened the course. So the events included not only the visit to our sites, but also showing activities that we make in an interactive perspective. Then there are a lot of workshops that we organized, such as some hackathons, where the students were the protagonists. We launched some challenges. I can tell you that last year I launched the challenge with the Apple Academy, and the funny thing was that we were competing with global companies, but the students in some cases didn't want to make the challenge for one of these companies that were interested in hiring them, but they preferred to choose the Federico II challenge. And this is meaningful because it shows that I am Federico means something to us, okay? Then there are important events. We have a great program and calendar. If you go on the website, you can find all the activities that we promoted in this period. And always in innovation, we also made a wonderful project with schools, because the issue is that Federico II is a primary stakeholder in the territory, and we have a huge work also with schools. With a couple of schools, we made an experiment in our museum anthropology. As you can see, this panel was used in the Manifesto della Razza in the fascism period. And so with the schools, we worked on the faces of these people that explain their history. Some actors gave voluntarily their voice, and so you can visit also in AI this museum and see and listen real histories that were set through the collaboration of the director of the museum, our experts in the field, in the area, in Federico II's academics, and the students in the schools. Then we have a lot of associations in our universities, but some are really outstanding. So they are the protagonists of some activities. So the sailing challenge, that will be 800 years sailing challenge. Then we have the Jeff that just organized a wonderful challenge in the area of economics and management. Then there is Euravia. They are experts in the drones, and so they organize a sort of fair of drones. And the UNINA course, these are very interesting because they are developing new engines for machines. And so they are also in touch with very important companies in the world. We also had a section that was Federico II together with the companies. And so we picked up 4 main companies in different sectors, and with each of them we are developing some specific projects. Just to make you an example, with Ferragamo, the CEO was here, so he made some training for our students. Then they worked in groups, and the group that won the competition has been hired by Ferragamo. With Micron, we are making a wonderful project because it regards inclusivity, and it's developed by diversely agile students. So students that have some problems, that are the protagonists, so they create a video that is instructive for those that have problems. Okay, so they are very enthusiastic and in doing this kind of activity. So last but not least, the heritage valorization has been based at different levels. So as you see, we made activities with schools, we made activities with our students, and also for the old city. we launched the Stupor Mundi itineraries that are very interesting itineraries in the city that show also our sites in total connection with the city. And the visitors that were the tourists were really enthusiastic. The sold out was immediate. As soon as we were on the website, it was full. So I personally also coordinated the project within the university that is Vivi Federico II, Live Federico II, because with this, together with the students, we developed the activities I explained you before. In Vivi Federico II, so we made a lot of things. The hackathon, as I showed you, some educational, informational pathways for young people, the itineraries of the Stupor Mundi, and a very interesting thing was also the team building activity through sailing and other opportunities for the federations. So these are the results of the big hack that I was explaining. This is for the itineraries. They were set in the city center of Napoli, but also in Portici, where we have the Reggia, which is very important. And you also saw it in the pictures that were shown in the video. And as I told you, the professors and the PhD students participated to these visits. So we had a monitoring process, and I can tell you that the visitors were really struck by the fact that even the academics were serving this kind of activity. Okay, this is the dragon boat. Okay, you can go on. Just to give a hand to the speech, I would like to remind you a very important sentence in Federico II. In our kingdom, we decide that many become wise and discerning by drawing from the source of sciences and the nursery of knowledge. This phrase can be found also at the entrance of the main building of Federico II. But these are the inspiring values that we have. What I can tell is that for this role that was given to me as a delegate of the rector for the celebrations, the great treasure I found were my colleagues, because I could find really wonderful people in different areas, and my task was to put them together to foster interdisciplinary activities and to valorize all that is done in this wonderful world that is Federico II. So thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. And I do hope that you are doing a very good meeting and you're also enjoying our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Valentina. Before leaving, Valentina, we want to show a very brief video about the Vivi experience that they have prepared. As you may understand, for a university like Federico II, one of the risks is basically being seated on our long history. We have to cherish our history. We have to prove to be worth of our history every day. And for us, being part of Aurora is also a way of renovating our long history. So thank you for being here, and thank you, Valentina, for reminding us the relevance of our history. And to Fabiana and all your collaborators, thank you very much. So just a couple of logistic informations. The dinner is ready. For those of you who have booked the social events tonight, you have received today, you have received an email. Social events that we have organized are a walk in the city. It's a short walk because the city is huge. We will have only 1 hour walk. It's just a way of being introduced to the city, for those of you who have chosen that one. A visit of Fondazione Morra Greco. It's one of our partners. It's a relevant cultural, historical, and social activity within the city. and then a visit of the Museum of Federico II, the Scientific Museum of Federico II. You have received an email. Please take care of being there at the time provided. And then we will see each other after the social visit at the Cortile delle Statue for dinner and for some music with friends. You all are invited. Thank you, and then the lunch is ready in the same room as early.